Also, as an entrepreneur, I feel, you're wearing so many different hats. It's beyond just the vision of the product. How is one person expected to take care of all of this?
I've never met an entrepreneur that knows how to do like 9 out of 10 things even. They'll know maybe 4 out of 10 things, 5 out of 10 things. And the rest, that delta is closed by generalists that you hire, people who are excited to build your startup with you. Also taught me that like taking a risk isn't necessarily a bad thing. I'm not even risk averse because of that. I feel very positively about taking a risk. Sometimes I'm like, maybe I should like tone it down a bit. I was customer care for the first 9 months. I spoke to every single customer, 600-700 customers. My bestest friends today who were there at that time still remember that at 11 p.m, 12 a.m. in the night, I would be replying to consultations. I would be out with my friends at a party and I would go into a corner and start responding because someone was really angry that their order didn't reach them.
All the memes on social media on entrepreneurs are 100% true.
Yeah, they are. We're a little crazy in that sense. You don't sit and think, oh, I wish I had focused on the party a bit more. No. Oh, you're so boring. You're so boring.
And work-life balance.
I don't want balance right now. This isn't my era of balance. This is my era of go hard, dude. Because when I'm 30, I'm gonna be chilling then. You can do work-life balance if you want.
At the age of 19, she took a leap of faith, dropped out of college, chased a dream, and built a brand that is now changing the haircare space. Let's welcome Anshita Mehrotra, the founder of Fix My Curls. Anshita didn't just identify a market gap, she felt it, she understood it, and built a solution that is now loved by thousands. And today, she is in the Forbes 30 under 30 list, building a thriving D2C business and an engaged community. In today's episode, let's talk about taking risks, listening to your gut, and building something from the ground up. It's going to be real, raw, and full of lessons. Hi Anshita, welcome to Let's Talk Biz. It's so nice to have you here with us today. How are you feeling?
Thank you so much for having me here. I feel great. I'm very excited. I feel like the personal conversations we've had have all led to this, and I'm so excited to share more than what we've already chatted about. I feel like you have some amazing questions for me.
Yes, and I vividly remember the first time that I saw you. It was at a pop-up in DLF Promenade, and you were talking about your product. And I could feel that your journey with the product has been such that you felt the need for that product. You've been the creator and you've also been the user. And I think that's a beautiful way to start any business.
Yeah.
When you're able to master the solution to a problem that you've deeply felt.
Yeah.
So what was that moment for you when you were like, okay, I'm going to do this?
I think that moment was way back when, 2019. I was spending a lot of time at my mom's office. She runs a skincare company. So I had been watching her build her business for almost 12 years at that point, 11, 12 years. And I was taking a semester, like a gap semester off from college. I was just spending some time thinking a lot about hair, and I was thinking a lot about my hair because I was in that transition part of my journey with my hair where I was taking it from chemically straightened and like very chemically abused, honestly, to natural and healthy. And during that transition period, I was looking for products. I couldn't find anything, and I remember talking to my parents, and my mom distinctly said, why don't you try making your own? And I think she said this because even she knew that as a mother with a kid who has such coily hair, she never could ask for help or find solutions on my behalf. And I think she also felt that pain that I wish I could do something for her. And now that the opportunity was there, I don't know, when my mom said it, it just clicked. And I was sitting there and she said, why don't you try making your own products? I was like, why have I never thought that I could be the one to fill this gap I've been feeling for so long? And it just felt right. Something about it felt very risky but very right, and I just followed that feeling. And they've also always championed following the feeling, so I think it felt very natural in that moment.
Oh, that's great. It's like a leap of faith that you take at that point. You're like, okay, I'm going to
100%.
start working towards it, and then let's see where it takes me, right?
Yeah.
And you were 19 at the time, I believe.
Yeah, I was 19. This was before, like 4 months before my 20th birthday. So 19 and a half. I was definitely very, very excited and feeling childlike about the whole project. I didn't understand it would turn into a business or a company someday. I genuinely just thought I will introduce this under the umbrella of my mom's products and maybe sell it for a little bit. If it fails, it's okay, koi baat nahi. Like, I think I went in with the intention of, I really just want to see if I can find a solution for myself.
Yeah.
And once I felt like the solution was working for me, I had been using my own products for about 3 months before I actually put them out on the market. And my go-to market strategy was literally just post on Instagram, build a little community on Instagram. As long as those people feel confident about what I'm launching, I'll launch and then we'll see. And I actively took feedback for months after, which is when the customer brand journey began. And I realized, okay, these people are rooting for me to win. So maybe this is a little bit more than just a project.
Correct.
Yeah.
And from here, I actually also want to understand because, see, Fix My Curls is a business that has been a game-changing product for the curly hair space, right? But it's relatively, I'd say, a smaller niche that you're operating in. So for such a brand to be able to find your first few customers and tell them, hey, you need me, how does that work?
I think finding your customers in a niche can be hard if you're not targeting them properly. You don't need to be talking to a general audience anyway. With a niche, the point is to be, every piece of content you put out, every outreach you do needs to be so authentic and genuine that it reaches very specifically the people you're talking to.
Yeah.
And especially if it's your own personal problem, just talk about the fact that you've dealt with this problem. You creating this solution is not the point. You need to emphasize on the problem enough that all the other people who also have that problem will come around. However, I of course didn't just jump into like a pool with like no water. I knew there was water there. I knew I would eventually be swimming because there was a Facebook group called Indian Curl Pride. And I had seen that Facebook group. It had 40,000 members then. And I was like, Indian Curl Pride. That means these are all people who feel pride for their curly hair and they live in India. They're looking for products. They're talking about products. They're talking about their experiences with their natural hair. I was like, okay, that's already 40,000 ready customers. Now, out of those 40,000 people, how many I convert is purely dependent on my strategy.
Yeah.
Is my marketing good enough? I mean, is the content I'm putting out making sense? And at the end of the day, do they like the product they're purchasing? Do they trust me enough? And I realized they'll only trust me if it comes right out of my mouth. I need to show them that I'm using the product, that it's actually like for me too, you know, so that they don't feel like I'm just selling them something I would never use. So I didn't go in not knowing. I knew there was a market. I knew those 40,000 people were there. And I was like, you know what, even if I convert 100, that's 100 customers. That's crazy. To me, that was crazy.
Wow, I think that's a great way of looking at it because even from, let's say, a content creation POV and even when we are building a brand, now we've become so used to dealing with big numbers that 100 doesn't matter, but 100 is huge and you have to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, and if you think about it, you only really need those 100 customers, right? Because out of those 100, if 20 also come back, you have some repeat revenue. And that's revenue you don't need to constantly work for. It's happening and it sustains your cash flow for a little bit. It helps you at least create some type of cash flow in the beginning. And that's what you need, right? Even 20 people coming back, giving you active feedback, helping you grow the community. And then word of mouth has a trickle effect that only people who love compounding would understand. And you just have to be patient with it. But it's quite magical. Those 20 return customers are very magical.
Yeah. Especially when you trust your product and you know that it's going to help those people, you know they're going to come around.
And hey, I'm going to be honest. I trusted my product, but I knew it needed improvements. I think this comes also from me being a people pleaser, but like deep down, I really wanted my customers to like love it. So I was always itching for their feedback. I wasn't averse to feedback. I think that is maybe the one thing that really helped me, because for the first 6 months, when they told me the fragrance is too strong, I got it changed. Then I would literally, the batch would change so quickly. Then I would tell them, hey, did you notice a difference this time? Like smallest things, labels, the quality of maybe like the viscosity of the product, if they didn't like it, if the pump wasn't working, everything was being noted and noticed by me. And I was customer care for the first 9 months. So I spoke to every single customer. I mean, there were maybe 600-700 customers in those first 9 months that I actively interacted with and spoke to. And a lot of them also didn't have the most amazing experience, but like I would say like 80 to 85% of them left feeling very happy. And that was enough for me. And the ones that weren't happy, I think I took their criticism as just great feedback.
I think you need to be a certain kind of a person for that, and that's so important for an entrepreneur, right? Because otherwise you get attached to what you've created, you get attached to the first iteration, you're like, why is this not working? So to be ready to keep improving and keep delivering what the customer wants, that customer centricity, I think that's been there in your business since day one, right? Also, as an entrepreneur, I feel you're wearing so many different hats. It's beyond just the vision of the product. It's the numbers, it's the marketing, it's the operations and everything. How is one person expected to take care of all of this? And how did you navigate that space?
So I think I had a lot of privilege in the beginning of my journey because my mom already had a set up operations, like she had ops and logistics set up. She struggled so I could not struggle, to be very honest. Without her, I think my journey I would be easily 2 years behind. I think she gave me that kickstart because she said, hey, this is how you list products on Amazon. This is what a listing requires. Her e-com manager would sit with me every day for those first 9 months. See, of course, he didn't know what the product did, what content needed to be written, branding, marketing, influencers, customer care, graphic design, website, zero. He was like, I'm sorry, I can't help there. So all those things, I manage those, including the unit economics and like how heavy the discounting needs to be, etc. But listing the products, running ads on my behalf, teaching me how Facebook ads are supposed to be run, he taught me the bare bones. And from there on, I sort of took it up. So at that time, I realized, firstly, no entrepreneur knows how to do every single thing. That's where people come in, and people will be the most important part of your journey. You are not important at all. It is the people that work with you, and they work with you, not for you. Firstly, that's the first thing. You should not feel entitled enough to be like, I have hired you. No. That's their choice to be there. If they're helping you build that 0 to 1, you should feel delighted that they've decided to join you on this journey, right? And it is the people. So no entrepreneur, I've never met an entrepreneur that knows how to do like 9 out of 10 things even. They'll know maybe 4 out of 10 things, 5 out of 10 things. And the rest, that delta is closed by generalists that you hire, people who are excited to build your startup with you. So I have to say that I was very lucky, super privileged to have had someone who had struggled and built. She gave me like a platform to be able to try something. And once my trial period was over and project was up and running, she pushed me and said, okay, now you do it on your own. Hire people, get an office space, rent it out, pack there, do whatever now you need to do. You've understood how it needs to run. The rest is on you. And I think that's when it all started. But I have to say, I was able to manage maybe, again, 6 out of 10 things. But my first few hires were an accountant and an e-com manager and one backer. These were the first few people. And then, of course, social media.
I think the support that you got from your mom at that time, because when we're starting out, it's extremely daunting. It's something that you have to take a lot of risk for, because even financial risk, and you're putting your all into a business, the time that you give it. So to be able to have that support system, both practically and emotionally, right?
It's so helpful. I mean,
exactly.
Of course, I think even my mom knew the risks associated with it, but I think she believed in me because not a lot of people had believed in her, and I don't think she wanted me to have the same experience as her. So I'm super grateful that she also taught me that like taking a risk isn't necessarily a bad thing. So I think I'm not even risk averse because of that. I feel very positively about taking a risk. Sometimes I'm like, maybe I should like tone it down a bit, but generally, like, I think my mom always wanted to build a brand, and she has, and I think she felt like what I wanted to do was absolutely normal, which she normalized the journey for me.
And when you sit down with her now for conversations, what does she have to say?
Now she asks me for help. She's just like, oh, where are you finding these people? How did you hire that person? Can you help me find an agency for this? When I started Fix My Curls, there was a handful of maybe 10 to 12 creators.
Yeah.
Imagine in skincare, there are thousands that are ready-made and present. So that's why you can go to an agency. I had no agency I could go to.
Yeah.
Tab nobody knew what the hell a curly hair creator is. So I just feel like there were a lot of struggles that I've had that come with starting in a niche, like you said, in a space where nobody wants to play. So then you really have to kind of create the playbook from scratch. And I think that's one place where I didn't have any support. And today, now when we chat, I think she asks me from the Instagram perspective, oh, how do you do this or how do you do that? But yeah.
Well, that's very interesting. And when you also mentioned the generalists and the experts, you know, in terms of team building that you hire, I found that to be very interesting because I think when you're starting out, you need people who are able to help you with multiple things, who are good at being able to take care of those several departments, right? So what was the team building journey for you like? And do you have any recommendations for people who are, you know, probably a team of 2 or 3 and now are looking to grow?
So it totally depends. If you have multiple co-founders, then definitely go slow on hiring too many generalists because your co-founders, you guys should be the generalists.
Got it.
Try to build as much as you can between 2 co-founders or 3 even. If you have 3, amazing, wow. You can even split even more stuff. 3 people is already a team. So definitely only start hiring people for gaps none of you know how to fill. So for example, if you're creating an app and you need a coder, none of you are engineers, okay, maybe you need to hire somebody who actually really knows what they're doing. I learned video editing. I learned shooting. I went and bought my first camera. Because I knew when I had to create content, I didn't have the money to pay other people to create quality content. So I was like, okay, I think I'm going to invest in a camera and the setup so that we can create everything in-house. So I think that's like a decision I made. So that's why I didn't hire for that 20 people. Then it started increasing by 5 people. Also, the path of hiring became clearer to me as avenues started to open up for revenue to come in. So, yeah.
No, I think that's great insight because initially working with generalists is something that I've also done and I highly recommend because everybody's like your right hand, your left hand, how your vision kind of translates into the brand then and how they're able to support you on that journey. Have you ever thought of probably having a co-founder?
Like everybody feels that way and I did, but I think it's far too late now anyway. It's been 5.5 years. At this point, what happens is you've done so much of the grunt work that sharing equity feels painful.
Yeah.
I think you want someone to be as invested as you are, and no one was as invested as I was, right? Because I was the person who was doing photo shoots in my colony, like putting my products on random trees and branches and the grass, and then going and sitting on Photoshop to edit it, and then learning how to edit videos. I mean, you don't want to know all the weird posters and videos I've done online to be able to learn how to full stack. When you do all that grunt work, you want a co-founder who will lie down in the grass with you and take the photo, right? But I think people want glamour and people want like a salary and they want the startup should grow, but there was no glamour in what I was doing for a really long time. So I don't think my journey was meant to be shared, perhaps. My bestest friends today who were there at that time still remember that at 11 p.m., 12 a.m. in the night, I would be replying to consultations. I would be out with my friends at a party and I would go into a corner and start responding because someone was really angry that their order didn't reach them. I remember people would video call, phone call, and I would have to somehow bypass calls because calls would get too personal, and I wanted there to be a boundary between me and customers. And
Yeah.
I remember after a point, my friends also said, okay, you're overdoing it. We're out to have fun. You're talking to your customers. I was like, but it doesn't feel that way to me. It feels like this is what I should be doing.
Correct.
This is where I want to be.
Wow. I really relate to that. And I also feel all the memes on social media on entrepreneurs are 100% true.
Yeah, they are. We're a little crazy in that sense.
No, like replying to messages when you're out with people, you know that you're sitting with an entrepreneur on the table if the other person's doing that, you know, because I think business never stops.
And I think you don't judge when you know that.
Yeah.
Koi baat nahi. It's just 1 minute, right? And then they'll be back and give you their attention.
Exactly. And then when you look back and you're like, okay, this is, what I've built, where I've come, then you feel proud of, what you've done, and
All
you
of it
know
makes-
what it's taken to
and all of
reach
it makes
there.
sense then.
Yeah.
You don't sit and think, oh, I wish I had focused on the party a bit more.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I've ever heard anyone who's managed to build something. It doesn't matter what the scale is. When you're building, the scale doesn't matter. What matters is the journey and the experience and your customers first and foremost.
Yeah, that's beautifully put. There's this one reel that I saw on your page, and I think that stayed with me. That was about you eating lunch alone as a founder, and how isolating that journey can be initially when you're the founder of a baby startup and picking your moments of indulgence and distance with your team members. How did you navigate that?
So for the first year, when I had a team of 5 people, we would eat lunch together. So that 1 year of eating lunch with them is what made me realize that maybe they'd want this time to themselves.
Yeah.
Because I really thought about it, and what if they are upset with me? And they can be. I love my team, they love me, and we're very open about that. But there are also clear boundaries. There are things they don't want to say in front of me. They would want to do kiki and have fun and make a joke. And, honestly, if they're upset with me, maybe they want to talk a little bit of shit about their boss, which is fair. But if I'm sitting there during their break time or during lunch, which is their moment to let it out,
Yeah.
I think I'm taking that away from them. And I didn't take that as a bad thing. I took it as I would rather eat my lunch alone.
Yeah.
And I made that reel because I've noticed a lot of founders eat alone and they don't talk about it. It sort of is like a taboo to talk about how lonely it is when you're building, especially when you don't have a co-founder. When you have a co-founder, you don't think about these things,
Yeah.
I think. I think you only realize these things exist when you're completely alone and building, and the pressure of building alone gets to you and you're like, I wish I had someone to eat lunch with and sort of bitch about this horrible thing that happened today. But I at least want them to have each other, even if I don't have that. And I think you eventually just understand that this is a part of building, and if you want equity to yourself, then you are going to have to eat lunch alone. It's a small price to pay. Yeah.
I think I really relate to that. And one thing that then I turned to for that was my family. Because, I would have a lot of those moments and I would be like, I need someone to hear me out on this. And probably right now talking to my team about it is not going to be the best decision.
Sometimes you don't want to worry your team either.
Yeah.
Right? You don't want them to think that you haven't got it.
Yes.
Which
you're the frontliner and you're also the last person standing.
Yeah.
So
you have to show them that, hey, we've got it no matter what.
Correct.
Don't worry about it. But there are moments where you do worry. I worry every day. And now there are some people in my team that I open up to. So they are sort of like my inner circle of people that I show true emotion in front of. They've seen me put my hand in my heads and just sit and be like, nahi hoga, nahi ho pa raha hai, chhod do, mujhe nahi baat karni hai kisi se, not today. And they are also the people that are the first to find out when someone resigns. I call them in and I'm like, okay, this person is gone. Let's put out a hiring.
Yeah.
I think those people come in, but they came in for me in literally this 5th year, last year of my journey.
Listening to your journey and how you started initially taking support from your mom, and then all the different sort of milestones that you crossed. I mean, every business has its own very eventful journey, every modern day business today for sure.
Yeah.
But I think there have been like a lot of shifts and turns in yours which you've handled with so much of grace and so much of understanding of people, your team and your customers, right? So that's very inspiring.
Thank you.
As a founder, you're also the face of the brand. You're transparent, you're relatable, you talk to your audience directly, right? How important do you think is humanizing your content for a brand today? And how much of you is too much for a brand?
There's definitely a fine line. It's really hard. So yes, humanizing your brand is specifically important today because I think that after a certain point, everything becomes a little bit gray. People stick to brands that have opinions, that don't stay quiet, that stand up for their customers. And this could be with a lot of things. But I think you need to eventually show that, yeah, there are people behind this brand who have opinions and feelings, and the brand will represent those opinions and feelings, whether you stay shut or you speak up. So, and this is about anything, right? Like if the Oscars are happening and someone you wish had won didn't win and you make a meme about it, that is you humanizing the brand, because now your brand has an opinion on something that is within pop culture. So these are ways where you can subtly humanize the brand, but I think it's really, really important because your community will know if you're a Taylor Swift fan. Like, we're very openly Taylor Swift fans because they know the founder is and a lot of people in the team are. And obviously I'm not going to hire a hater. And if there has been a hater, we've converted them in months. And I think that's the point, right? Like you have to have some type of culture, and that culture will shine through in your content. And that's what makes content shareable too, right?
Yeah.
If you see something and you're like, oh my God, this is so funny. Like I totally relate, you'll share it with a best friend. We want our content to be digestible, but only for certain groups of people. We don't want to be liked by everyone either, right? Like I'm sure there are people that think we're very annoying. They're like, oh God, they just keep making the same jokes. But then there are some customers who are like, I love that they keep making the same jokes because this makes me, it's so relatable. I love being part of this community. So you do have to know that when you are humanizing your brand, you are choosing to have opinions on things. So you have to be ready for the people who don't like those opinions to not maybe like your brand. But I would rather have that, because then I know that the people who do follow us are very loyal to our opinions as well, and they enjoy being a part of this journey. And
it's no longer a product, it is a journey, and it is an experience, and it is a community, right?
Yeah.
Curly convention that you built, a wonderful idea. Can you tell me more about that?
Yes, so Curl Convention is actually our intellectual property, but it's basically just a space for curly head people to come together, for absolute loyal fans who have been loyal to the journey and the brand and the product and to themselves. And they can show up in this space and just be obsessed with themselves for those 2-3 hours. And like we are also there to like hype you up and make you make content with us and give you gifts. And it's all about celebrating you so that you feel like extra special. And the cool thing is, what we try to do is call majority of loyal customers, and we like personally call them up and tell them, hey, you're our 8th most loyal customer in the entirety of Bombay. We wanted you to know that, and since you've been purchasing for 4 years, we're inviting you. So that's how we invited our entire Bombay cohort.
Amazing.
Yeah, and then we only call like 10-15% influencers. The rest is all customers.
Yeah.
So we want them to feel like an influencer for a day, basically.
Lovely. What a vision with that, really. And now you're in more than 10 countries, I believe, right? What was that whole let's go global journey like for you, and what were the challenges that you faced that were very different from exploring the Indian market where you started?
So with global, it happened very like randomly, I'm going to say. It was never my idea to go global, but we had this amazing distributor based in Malaysia. She used to live in India. She moved to Malaysia, and she had tried Fix My Curls and continued to use the products, and she carried them with her there. And then I think she'd made some people try the products and realized there's potential to sell it there. So she contacted me over DMs and said, hey, let's try selling. Let me be your sole distributor there. We were like, okay, maybe not sold right now, but try selling and then we'll think about it. But pata nahi kitta bikega. We don't know the Malaysian market. It was very new for me, but I trusted this girl and I felt really good about her. So yeah, then we sent her the first shipment. She made it was a sizable like $500-$600 order, and for me that was a lot. In like after 1 year of business, I was like, oh my god, like $600. Okay, and the margins were amazing because we didn't have to price them the same as they were in India, right? We could price a little higher, and people were ready to pay because they have purchasing power that's not as price sensitive as people are here.
Correct.
So that was the start. After Malaysia, Nepal, again, this is how we found the distributor. They of course, neighboring countries, they saw how well curly hair was doing in India, and so they were just like, even we want to sell. So they were also lovely people. We sent them samples, they tried the products, they loved them. They placed their first order, and again, it was a very small order, like I think $400-$500. But we stuck it out with them, and now years later, now they're able to place, whatever, $15,000-$20,000 orders at once, and I think you just need to be really patient, and this is a 4-year journey I'm speaking of. So it's not kal hua, aaj bada ho gaya. No, you have to be really patient with distributors too, because they're choosing to trust you and transfer you their money. And the thing is, after that, it was sort of, then I hired an exports manager, and she came in. And when she came in, I told her, I was like, you're going to have to build this out with me. We're just going to have to together like look for leads and just keep DMing people on the internet. We kept DMing curly hair salons, and eventually some of them converted. So 2 countries to 4 to 6 to 10. That's sort of how over 4 years, every year, a few countries
because from
were
the
added.
outside, one would think that when you're planning to go international, it's this huge space and it's going to be so daunting. It's a new market. There's so many things you ought to know, etc., etc. But you did it so organically. You tested the waters. It was a slow process.
Go very slow.
Exactly.
I think just don't put pressure on it as a part of your business plan.
Yeah.
Global is difficult, and you need to have distributors who are willing to register your product on your behalf. They are representing your company, so you need to choose very wisely. And that's how I've seen every distributor, like, thank you for trusting us and giving us an opportunity, and that's it. And that's what I've told like my team as well, is they are customers. They are equivalent to a customer. Treat them like they are sitting on a throne at all times. What they're doing for us is trusting us, because if the product turns out to be bad and a customer has a bad experience, the distributor manages that complaint in that country. We don't. It's passed on to them, and they sell on our behalf. So they become the retailer of our products there.
They're such an extension of your team, and they're taking on so much of responsibility.
And they have their own
brand
teams.
There.
They have their own teams distributing in that country. What's happening is happening dheere dheere. It's a wonderful thing when it does happen. It's super profitable for us to be global, but I don't want to mess it up. So
fair. But in general, do you feel that now's a good time to be a startup owner in India?
100%. There is so much support. There are so many angel investors. VCs are opening up their minds now into niches, investing in niches. Now they know that every niche is a potential big area in 5 years, in 8 years, in 10 years, and they want to get in early. They want to play early. And there's so many types of investors now, right? Getting money, raising capital is, I think, a more fruitful journey today than maybe 3 years ago when I started it. And entrepreneurs are really, really celebrated today. So if you start creating content also as an entrepreneur, people are so happy about it. I don't know. I think influencers were the thing a few years ago, right? Today, the founder has to be the influencer.
Yeah. It's the real journey people want to know about. It's that relatable content, right? Yeah, no, that's there. Now you're 26. You've started and built a beautiful business. Recently got your Forbes 30 under 30.
Thank you.
Do you pause and let that sink in and be like, wow, you've come a long way?
I don't think you can pause. When things are really, really good, you have to sort of get up and take that momentum and really run with it and do good things with it. But yes, I have sat down with the people super close to me, even my therapist. She's amazing. You know, I've sat with a few people and sort of really thought about, yeah, I've come a long way. But I think what excites me is now I'm a lot more confident and sure of what I want to do. My dreams are a lot bigger, they're very different, which I think I had a lot of imposter syndrome for the first few years. I was like, what am I doing here? I'm just this random person with no degree, no background. What the hell do I know about running a business? And now I'm trying to pitch to investors. What am I doing? I'm so out of my league. These were my thoughts, very conflicting thoughts for the first few years. And then in the last 2 years, I think I've just learned that people are going to believe like who you choose to be and what you show them. So do I want to be the person that's always confused about whether I deserve to be here? Or do I want to be the person that says, yeah, I've worked hard to be here, so yes, I deserve to be here and will continue to deserve to be here. So I think I haven't really paused, but I've tried to have those moments of like, I am so thankful to be in this position, but I can't wait for what comes next.
To keep going. Success tastes sweet, I'd say. Relatively, again, I know it has its own challenges. But you know, when you started off, did you feel that people underestimated you as a young woman in business?
Yeah. Obvious, 100%. Anytime I would meet somebody and tell them that, yeah, hi, my name is Anshita, I run Fix My Curls, it's a curly haircare brand. They'd be like, oh, तो आप बाल सीधे करते हो? I was like, nahi, we help keep them curly. They were like, acha, ye hota kya hai?
Oh,
and
goodness.
it's just with their attitude of the way they would ask me, I could tell they were least interested in understanding ki ye kya hota hai. And that, I mean, when I would say my revenue numbers, then to their eyes would come out of their head because they would be like, huh? Crores? You? And I would be like, yeah. And they were like, how old are you? And at that time, I would be like, 21, 22. And this would be uncles mostly, right? Like bald uncles that know nothing about the personal care industry, who are in whatever area of life. They immediately feel like they can pass a comment or be judgmental. So yeah, I mean, I've been underestimated a lot, especially also in rooms where people have careers.
Yeah.
Quote unquote, jobs where the path to success is laid out, right? In a company, in a corporate structure, you know what you have to do to get where you need to be. You know the promotion that is going to come. You know har saal increment milega. In a startup, there's no such thing as an increment. I didn't pay myself for a year and a half because I felt like I didn't deserve to be paid. That was my decision. And the days I'm disappointed in myself, I don't have anyone to pat me on the back and say, you're doing such a good job. No, I'm just disappointed. And the days I'm happy, I only have to tell myself, be happy about this thing. I feel like it's so different in a corporate structure, and those people I feel like were the ones who would inadvertently judge me a bit more. And I think they didn't even realize they were doing it, to be honest. And they just found it hard to understand what I was doing, I think. They'd just be like, oh, good luck. And I would be like, okay, thank you. I think I know what I'm doing and I don't need you to say that it's good. But these are people with very good jobs, really great companies, billion-dollar companies they're working at, right? Unke liye, what is this startup? But now when I meet startup founders and I tell them, it's the best conversation ever. Agency owners, founders, anybody that's working for themselves knows exactly what you mean. They understand how big a deal it is to be running whatever you're running, whatever scale. They know the work you're putting in and how cool it is when someone comes and tells you the work you've done is great. But yeah, it definitely feels odd, especially when they're making friends at work. And I think that part always felt very lonely to me because I wasn't making friends, I was hiring people. Where were my friends?
Exactly. I really, really relate to that again, because at some point you're like, and you don't have time to even maintain a lot of those friendships, because when you're at that hustle space of your business, weekends or no weekends, it's pretty much the same thing, really.
Yeah.
And the hiring people, sometimes as a founder, I would find myself trying to find that friendship in my
the hiring,
team,
yeah.
in the hiring. And then I realized that that's toxic for me and that's toxic for them.
Yeah,
And
you can't hire friends, and you
Yeah.
can't hire people that you would love to be friends with. You have to hire people that are good for the job, and I've made that mistake, that exact mistake.
No, I think we definitely learn so many things on the job. And we need more startup founders. We need more people who've lived through these experiences to be in positions where they're interacting with aspiring entrepreneurs. Tell me one thing, what's like one non-negotiable or like a backbone, of Fix My Calls that's always going to stay?
Transparency.
Yeah.
I think no matter what happens, being transparent about it is really, really important, even if it's a mess up from our end. And I remember in the beginning, we had so many mess ups. So we have this product called our moisturizing shampoo. And a lot of people were saying it's not moisturizing and it's not cleansing also. So it's not acting like a shampoo. So I, in a random batch, decided, let's use more of the cleansing agent. The manufacturing is in my family. They had ordered it from a different raw material supplier. I said okay to the formulation. Now what happens is that batch is created, it begins to curdle, literally curdle like bad milk. The milk in the formulation and the cleansing agent began to separate. That went to about 200 customers. Then the emails started coming in. What the hell have you sent me? What is this? In that time, like the choice was either be transparent or shut it down, So I was like, let's just be transparent because this is a big mistake and it's my fault. I shouldn't have approved a new version so easily and sent out a batch and sold it to people. So yeah, we started replacing it, had to call back that entire batch. It was obviously thousands of pieces and 200 had gone to customers. The rest were either in transit or were somewhere in a warehouse facility, and it was quite a bit of money lost, but I think we, in a sense, gained respect from those people because they were kind enough to be like, okay, it's fine. Just give me my money back and it'll be okay. And I was like more than happy to. Just please don't hate the brand. Because for me, I think I've always seen things from a very long-term perspective. It's not about the short-term sale today. It's about how you're going to feel about us 1 year from now. Yeah. I don't want anything to affect that.
Yeah.
Because this isn't a short-term game for me. So transparency is the one thing that is the backbone of the brand.
I think all of us as founders, and especially people who are into service or building a product need to really understand that we need to have that long-term perspective. It's not a fad that you're building. That only comes from being true to your product, being true to what you've designed and being transparent about it.
And I think if you look at the founders who have risen in this type of a trajectory, they've had failed businesses before. They've already done the thing, then they've learned, and then they've succeeded.
Wow.
And these are some of the biggest founders in the country that have had the most successful exits in recent months. If you see, they have failed before. They've failed and then learned how to win. So I don't think we should be so hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
We are really hard on ourselves when we do fail.
Great. Now we're going to move to the game section.
Okay.
I have some interesting questions for you.
Okay,
Let's see.
I'm excited.
So it's complete the sentence. Pretty straightforward. The first one is that if you want to be in Forbes 30 under 30, you should.
Oh my God. Build your personal brand.
Okay. When pitching to investors, always remember.
You don't have to give exact numbers. You can give approximates and get back to them on exact numbers.
Oh, that's good advice. Running a business feels like?
What is that ultra marathon? The one where they do like cycling and then like swimming and then running and all of it together in the same like 6 hours. That's sort of what running a business feels like, I think.
Yeah, very accurately described, I'd say. The lesson I learned the hard way in entrepreneurship is?
Just because a decision is hard doesn't mean it's not right, sorry. I think hard decisions often feel really bad sometimes in the moment, but it doesn't mean it wasn't a good decision for the long term. But in the moment, it can be a very painful decision to make. So,
the worst piece of advice I have ever received?
Go back and finish your college degree.
Wow.
I mean, yeah. An investor said that to me, first ever pitch I gave. And I think in that moment, I had felt really like, oh, should I go back and finish my degree? Is it so important? Is it going to haunt me for the rest of my life? Nobody ever comes to me and asks me. Like, they don't really care.
And the best piece of advice that you heard?
Oh, the best piece of advice. The best piece of advice I've heard has been to allow yourself to pivot, to change your mind. It's okay to change your mind. I think I had a very hard time with that, and because I'm like fiercely loyal to my original ideas, that I'm like, nay, I have to make it happen. I can't just change my mind. No, I thought I was gonna do this, so I should do this, I should try. But you can cut your losses once you've realized that, okay, perhaps this is not the right way to go. You don't have to be embarrassed ki, what are people gonna think? I've changed my mind. I wanna pivot. I don't wanna do this. It's okay.
You know, this has been like a little bit of my fight as well, because a lot of days I find myself coming up with new ideas, working on branding for some brand. Today I want to work on this, tomorrow I want to work on something completely different, and I feel that a lot of people see that as indecisiveness, but I feel you need to give yourself that time to explore till you know you've hit bullseye, and then you're confident about what you're presenting. It's completely okay to be in a space of A, B, C, D and keep moving
100%.
till the time you don't know where you're at.
100%.
If I could go back and change one decision in my business, it would be
not getting a trademark lawyer early on enough would definitely be it. I think like IP lawyers and also people that are specialists in their fields. If you're building a brand of your own, you do need a lot of support to build it out, because if you want to own those IPs years into the future, and those IPs decades later could become super, super important for your brand. People could literally remember you by a color or a pattern or whatever. These are all, everything can be owned by you. But I don't think you realize that when you're playing small, right? Because you think, oh, who will care? I don't need to invest into this, kyunki who cares? But I now realize, damn it, I should have invested in it that time. But it's never too late.
A secret vision I have for Fix My Curls is...
I don't think it's like super secret, but yeah, to someday be in Sephora, Ulta, any one of these, I think would be such a big dream, because I've never seen an Indian origin brand in a Sephora by an Indian origin person. I think there are maybe one, two brands, but like again, the owners of those brands have either lived in the US or have already started to build out in the US, UK, somewhere. And they've had the benefit of having connections there. I think for me, because I have absolutely no connections in the US, Sephora is the ultimate dream. And to be on those shelves is like a privilege. I think for me as a brand owner, it's like, yeah. Wow.
It's also the people you'll reach through that. The amount of customers who need you, who want you, who will be able to find you on that Sephora shelf, really. So let's manifest that today.
Yeah, manifesting that always.
So one message that you have for all us aspiring entrepreneurs today and the people who are going to be, watching this.
I think don't plan everything out so finely that once you start doing it and things don't go to plan, which is often how entrepreneurship plays out, is what you think is going to happen is not what happens. I think be open to learning and changing that fine-tuned plan. Be open to changing. I would say every single month is what my advice would be. Every week, every month, every day, you're going to learn something new. Try to take in as much of it as you can and implement as fast as you can, instead of waiting and hoping and praying that your original plan comes to life. Sometimes it doesn't, because a better plan comes for you. Follow that and let that lead the way. I would say, as long as you're open and flexible enough, good things happen. I've seen a lot of people not be able to find that flexibility and get stuck on one step of the process. Nahi ye nahi hua. I'm just going to wait. And then 6 months later, that same person is still at that same step. Versus somebody else who is flexible has grown leaps and bounds. And then those people wonder why that person is so successful.
Completely agree with you. I feel we're looking at being perfectionists in that space, while I believe that entrepreneurship has nothing to do with being a perfectionist.
Not at all.
Exactly.
Let me tell you, the best founders I know, our brand launches never go to plan. Ever. Banner गलत हो जाएगा, image गायब होगी, link नहीं काम कर रहा होगा, like unit product के units हमने डाले ही नहीं होंगे. Live है. Like it's not synced to the backend inventory. And it happens to all of us, and imagine I've been doing this for 6 years and this stuff still happens, like spelling errors, oh my god. So, but you can't stop something from being put out into the world because it's not perfect, because nothing is perfect.
Exactly.
And I've seen a lot of people who are just like, oh, you've done so much, you're only 26. I'm like, I think
the choices you've made, because those are things that we've discussed.
Yeah.
The choices you've made to be able to act. You've left things, because one cannot be there, do all, be all.
No, you can't do everything.
Yeah.
So I've made active decisions. I've cut off people. I've missed parties. I no longer feel this thing called FOMO ever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just changed, but I don't know. It just didn't fulfill me anymore. So that was my decision, and I still love to party, but I also know that a party happens every week.
Wow.
I think that's
really, really inspirational, and all of us need to hear that and follow that. That FOMO, वो इतना ingrained हो गया है, I feel, in people around us and in our generation. We need to keep telling ourselves, like you said, party कहीं नहीं जा रही.
नहीं, वो
with
होगी
focus वो फिर से होगी.
Yeah, but this isn't to say like someone that is very important to you, their birthday, their anniversary, that trip that is very important to them. Don't miss those things. Your friends also will not come back. The ones that have been there for you. They've watched you build. You can also be there for them. Be there for their great moments and their one-time things. Like a birthday comes once a year, don't miss that. But a random party to socialize with random people, and I don't know, like people, I don't understand these people, but they make such a big fuss about it. Oh, you're so boring.
And work-life balance.
I don't want balance right now. This isn't my era of balance. This is my era of go hard, dude. Because when I'm 30, I'm going to be chilling then. You can do work-life balance if you want. But again, these are my thoughts. And like, I know they're going to be extremely triggering to some people. Some people are just going to be like, God bless, like she doesn't know how to have fun. My fun is very different.
Yeah. You could be doing two things. You could be cribbing about it and not enjoying it, or you've embraced it the way you have and you're enjoying every moment of it. So that's probably the way to go, right?
And I mean, I think the only times you can crib is like when you're genuinely trying to enjoy yourself, and then work is still coming up. Those are the times you draw boundaries. Eventually, you can draw some boundaries.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I think I'm happy that we found what we love and that we are able to do it. Not many people can say that about their journeys.
Yeah.
So definitely very grateful for that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And thank you so much.
Yes, this was great talk. So many takeaways. So thank you so much for coming and for being here and
you for
talking
having
about
me.
everything with so much of grace and saying things that probably a lot of us feel and think, but we don't say it out loud. So thank you for that.
I'm glad. I hope the internet doesn't hate me too much.
There's going to be that audience that's going to love you for what you said, and I think that's what we need
I've
to
always
focus
wanted to hear all of these opinions, so I would also love to hear what people think, and people that are in positions like ours. I would love for them to feel like they have a community after this podcast. And thank you to you for having a space that is safe enough to also be open and vulnerable about these things, because not every host can make you feel like being vulnerable is a good thing. So thank you.
Absolutely. I believe in that, and it's because people like you come here and talk about these things that it makes it all worth it. Thank you.
So much.
I have a little something for you from Archimedes' side. It says focused and it says mood CEO.
I've seen this. Oh my god, this was on one of my vision boards.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not joking. It's on one of my vision boards.
Look at that.
That's so cool. Thank you so much.
I'm glad you like it.
Oh, I love it. This is such a nice gift.
I'd love to see you use it whenever you do.
Of course.
Please send me a picture.
Much. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you for coming. If there's one thing that I learned from Anshita, is that every entrepreneurial journey is unique. So trust your gut, own your mistakes, and keep moving. One takeaway that I'm definitely going to apply is that you need to stop waiting for the perfect plan. Execution is everything. And entrepreneurship is a wild ride. You're the first one in and the last one standing. But what helps is your set of cheerleaders, your well-wishers, your family, your team, and your friends. So make sure to be grateful for them. So let's embrace entrepreneurship in all its flavors, the lows, the highs, and everything in between. And meanwhile, stay tuned and stay hungry, because at Let's Talk Biz with Shubhagata, we take you from vision to victory.